As many terrible things as Reverse Flash has done over the years, he has also had a lot of karma come back his way to try and trip him up, or at least slow him down. Though he probably deserved a lot of what he got, right? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. We've talked about some of the tragedy in Barry Allen's past, and now it's time to take a look at the flip side of our hero as we focus on his nemesis and polar opposite in almost all things, the Reverse Flash. Like two sides of a coin, this pair is. Join me as we count down the top 10 worst things that happened to Reverse Flash and take a look at some of the tragic events that have made the character who he is today. For each action, there must be a reaction. For Flash, this reaction is Reverse Flash. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, costume destroyed. I mean, this is definitely something Reverse Flash recovered from as it happened during his first appearance, but still, it sucks to have your costume destroyed, especially one as powerful as Thawne's was initially. During his first appearance, it's Barry's old costume which Thawne randomly finds that gives him his super speed. Wearing it makes him speedy, so in the end, when he crosses paths with Barry Allen's The Flash, Allen is certain to take the costume from Professor Zoom after defeating him. He not only takes it, but is also sure to burn it up so he can never use it again. Of course, for Professor Zoom, as frustrating as this may have been at the time, it would only be a minor setback for the villain. Number 9, love denied. In a weird turn of events, Eobard Thawne appears to Iris West and claims he is in love with her. Of course, we can't really trust that this is true. It could have just been a ploy to mess with Barry had she agreed to be with Thawne. But either way, Iris refuses Thawne's advances. Iris would rather die than be with him, which is exactly what Thawne had in mind. Suffering either from a bruised ego or simply looking to find a new way to mess with Barry after Iris refused to go with him, Thawne killed her by phasing his hand through her brain, but making it solid momentarily when it was still in there. Ick. Although having your heart broken is never nice, this is no way to react to someone declining your advances, Thawne. Number 8, tricked into returning home. Following Crisis on Infinite Earths, Eobard Thawne shows up in that current continuity and attempts to impersonate Barry Allen. After a mental break and in a state of disillusion, Thawne actually believes in fact that he is Barry Allen. Barry at this time was gone, believed dead after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and as a result, Wally West clues into the fact that this isn't Barry Allen, but an imposter. Wally then tricks Thawne into returning to the 25th century. Upon his return, Thawne also seems to have lost his memory of this event and only has an unexplainable hatred for Barry Allen and the remains of his own old costume as clues as to what exactly happened to him. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, just a quick reminder, if you love lists about the Flash as much as I love giving them to you, please be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 7, becoming the Flash's #1 fan. I don't know if you believe in destiny, but if you do, then this bit of history from Eobard's past is likely one of the worst things to have happened to the character. Thawne grew up in a future and is initially from the 25th century. During his time growing up there, he became obsessed with the Flash, kinda idolized him, and wanted to be just like his hero. Sounds nice, right? But Eobard Thawne's admiration for Barry Allen would set him down a dark path that he'd never be able to turn back from, even if he tried. In becoming a Flash fan, Thawne had confirmed his own irreversible dark destiny. Number 6, his mother's death. There is another character who is also known as Reverse Flash named Daniel West, who first appeared during the New 52 in the 2012 run of The Flash in issue number 0. Daniel West's story is possibly more tragic than Professor Eobard Thawne's, in some spots at least. In Daniel's origin story, his mother died in childbirth and his father forever blamed him for this, seeing it as his child's fault. While his father treated him badly as a child because of this and turned to drink, his sister Iris tried to protect him from their father's anger. However, Daniel's mistreatment created a sense of frustration and anger within him too that one day boiled over, causing him to push his father down the stairs in retaliation. This set Daniel down a darker path and also ruined his relationship with his sister. Number 5, witnessed. Daniel West, as the Reverse Flash, dreamt of repairing his relationship with his sister Iris, and blamed his father for everything awful that had ever happened to him, believing the best way to actually fix his relationship with Iris would be to go back in time and kill his father to prevent his younger self from ever getting angry enough to push his dad down the stairs, and to prevent, any of the mistreatment that would happen to him thereafter. Daniel ended up with powers that allowed him to drain the Speed Force energy out of others touched by it in order to turn back time. Using this ability, he managed to get enough of a charge to go back and attempt to change his own past. But his younger self and Iris arrived home just in time to witness the attempted murder of their father by Reverse Flash, and this only, of course, ended up creating more trauma for Iris and created a larger rift between them. In fact, a rift that would probably never be repaired. Number 4, killed by Batman. And let's go back to Thawne now for a bit. During the events of Flashpoint, Professor Zoom ends up murdered by Batman. True story. He had carefully guarded himself against Barry by becoming a living paradox. Pretty smart. In issue number 5 of Flashpoint from 2011, he brags to Barry about this very fact after revealing that it was the Flash and not him that messed up the timeline, thereby creating the Flashpoint timeline. However, what he wasn't expecting and didn't count for was that Batman would be around to find a loophole. Even in the Flashpoint reality, Batman is the master of exploiting people's weaknesses. And Thomas Wayne's Batman does so this time around by catching Thawne unawares. Rising up after taking a beating from the villain, Batman runs him through with a sword, killing Thawne. Well, at least the Thawne of that continuity. Of course, Thawne, I feel like, is never gone. He would be back. Number 3, his mother's death. On Prime Earth, Eobard Thawne's origins are a little bit different. Instead of growing up idolizing the Flash, Thawne became a villain as a result of a few traumatic events in his past. One such meaningful event in his life that mirrors one that he is often responsible for making happen in Barry's life in the comics was the death of his mother. Thawne's mother was actually killed by his father, and even worse, a younger Eobard happened to witness this happen. Obviously, him destroying Barry Allen's family life was a way of him making things feel more fair, and also trying to corrupt Allen by traumatizing him as he himself had been corrupted and traumatized. Thawne is also known for his belief in balance within the Speed Force, so this could also be his own twisted attempt at evening the scales. Number 2, discovering the truth. One of the worst things to happen to Eobard, and something that would cement his role as Barry's worst and of course best villain, was when he went back in time to meet Barry and visited the Flash Museum. Eobard Thawne, you see, idolized Barry and looked up to the Flash as a hero because he wanted to be just like him. Unfortunately, due to a predestination paradox, he would learn upon traveling back in time to meet his hero that he, Eobard Thawne, Professor Zoom, would later become Allen's greatest villain. This shocking revelation would drive him insane and ironically turn him into the villain that he would become. Number 1, learning the truth of his ancestry. One of the most shocking revelations in comics has to be when we all learned, Thawne included, of his connection to the Allens, and how he was actually related to them. What? So all this time, he had only been causing pain to his own family, at least his family by blood. Eobard Thawne, it turns out, was the descendant of Malcolm Thawne, who was actually the twin brother of Barry Allen. The twins were separated at birth, with Malcolm being raised by adoptive parents who believed they were actually his biological parents, and Barry being raised by their birth parents, the Allens. When Thawne learns of this, it only adds to his frustration and anger, as it makes him once more face the facts that he was destined to become Barry's true nemesis, and that he can never escape this fate or escape Barry Allen. What do you think are some of the Reverse Flash's most dastardly plots? Do you think he deserves all the worst things that happened to him? Is Reverse Flash your favorite Flash villain, or is there someone that you love more? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it is time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Saddest Things That Happened to the Flash, Part 2. Just a Peaceful Man Who's Born in the 1980s comments, we still love Jay Garrick, Barry Allen, Wally West, no matter what happens. I love that. I love that support. No matter what happens to them, we love and support them. Kid Scenes responds, if y'all don't stop with these saddest and worst videos, ugh. That's my skull and my crying emoji. Yeah, I'm so sorry to bum you out, but I feel like this is another worst list. At least it's for a villain this time though, so maybe that's like a consolation prize for you, because you can be like, well, this person kind of deserved these things. I don't think anyone deserves worse things, even some of the worst people, I feel like. I'm actually down for the Wonder Woman approach. Let's just, you know, defeat people with love. I mean, for the most part. Wonder Woman does kill people sometimes. So, she's still a warrior. Senna DeVere writes, my therapist. You can't outrun your problems. Me. I'm fast. I'm very fast. Yeah, you can outrun your problems though. Not even the Flash can outrun his problems, and he can definitely run very fast. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and reactions responded to in a future list. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Till next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.